Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Good morning.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you for joining. We'll get started. Dear devotees, welcome to Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Today we are very happy to have the association of His Grace, Sachitanaya Gauranga Prabhuji. He'll be sharing 28 chapter 42, 43, 44 verses. Chapter is titled Puranjana becomes a woman in the next life. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji, we can start.
Yes. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyadeshatarini Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठकी। Hare Krishna, welcome everyone. Today we will see Canto 4, chapter 28, Shloka 42 to 44. Pare Brahmani Chatmanam Param Brahma Tathatmani Vikshamano Vihayeksham Asmat Upararamaha. Pare Brahmani Chatmanam Param Brahma Tathatmani Vikshamano Vihayeksham Asmat Upararamaha. Pare, transcendental. Brahmani, in the absolute. Cha, and. Atmanam, the self. Param, the supreme. Brahma, absolute. Tatha, also. Atmani, in himself. Vikshamana, thus observing. Vihaya, giving up. Iksham, reservation. Asmad, from the process. Upararama, retired. Ha, certainly. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. King Malay Dwaja could thus observe that the super soul was sitting by his side, and that he, as the individual soul, was sitting by the side of the super soul. Since both were together, there was no need for separate interests. Thus, he ceased from such activities. Purport: in the advanced stage of devotional service, the devotee does not see anything separate between his own interests and those of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Both interests become one, for the devotee does not act for a separate interest. Whatever he does in the interest of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At that time, he sees everything in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead is everything. Having attained this stage of understanding, he sees no distinction between the spiritual and the material worlds. In perfect vision, the material world becomes a spiritual world due to its being the external energy of the Supreme Lord. For the perfect devotee, the energy and the energetic are non-different. Thus, the so-called material world becomes spiritual. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. Everything is intended for the service of the Supreme Lord, and the expert devotee can utilize any so-called material thing for the Lord's service. One cannot serve the Lord without being situated on the spiritual platform. Thus, if so-called material thing is dovetailed in the service of the Lord, it is no longer to be considered material. This is how the pure devotee, in his perfect vision, sees from all angles. ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजना सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यमीश्वरम्। हरे कृष्णा। Canto 4, chapter 28 and text 42. So please bless me so that I can do a good service of, uh, reading out from Bhagavatam, and for my purification, it will be helpful. So please bless me. So, it's an allegorical story of Puranjana, as we all know. Now, Narad Muni is explaining about Malayadvaja. And the wife of Malayadvaja is Vaidarbhi, the daughter of King Vidarbha. Now, Narad Muni is explaining how Malayadvaja could see soul and super soul, both of them side by side, sitting by side. So that means, so he is explaining that Malayadvaja has a perfect understanding of the difference between the soul and the super soul. If we take different schools of Vedic understanding, then we can see that Mayavadis consider in different ways. They perceive the soul, super soul, material things, and karma, all of them in different ways. There are two types of Mayavadis. Prabhupada explains. One is the Buddhists, who are Mayavadis, who don't consider Vedas at all. For them, all in all, everything is this body, and they don't even consider Vedas. And the rest all schools fall under the all other schools follow the Vedas. So this is very important. Those who don't follow Vedas, they are called Mlechas. And here it's very important that one follows Vedas, because it is Krishna says, I am Veda. Vedaisha sarvam ahameva vedya. I am the Vedas, everything is Vedas, and I am the one to be known from Veda also. So that means gradually Vedas can lead one person to understanding Krishna. The highest form of spiritual understanding one can have is the personal aspect of the Lord of Krishna. So that's why it is very important. So Vedas are called Apaurusheya. Apaurusheya means nobody has laid hands on Vedas, in the sense it is not, some author has written it. Everybody has written commentary, compiled it in certain form so that everyone can understand. So it's like a big tree, big banyan tree, which one cannot actually fathom and understand the complete essence of the complete understanding of Vedas. So it's very difficult. So talking about the other different schools, then Shankara school, Advaita philosophy talks about being material energy is there. Sorry, only Paramatma is there. There is no soul also. Paramatma is there. Only soul and the material energy, they are just illusions. After some time, they will get merged into the Paramatma. So Jiva, when it separates, is also kind of Paramatma only. That is their understanding. Only it is an illusion. It is put into that illusion for some time, and later they will all merge. That is a Shankara school of thought, Dvaita. And then there are all the other schools of thoughts, like Jaimini school of thought, where Karma Mimamsa, where only karma is pradhana. So they based on what one performs, one's activity is in his lifetime. Based on that, he gets the result. And finally, when everything is done, this goes on, this continues and goes on, and that is it. So this is how jivas will live. They will do some karma, get some result, get into something else, and from there they will pick something. So like that, it will go on. So they don't talk about soul. They don't talk about Paramatma. So similarly, Sankhya philosophy is there. and several other philosophies are also there. But Vaishnava philosophy mainly talks about three things, primarily three different things. So one is Jiva, then soul, then Paramatma. So one has to get liberated from the material clutches of in the sense the affinity to materialistic way of living, and then move away to understand the Lord and slowly give up all the material activities to understand the Supreme Lord and become spiritual in nature. So this is this is what Vaishnava philosophy follows. And in that also Ramanujacharya philosophy, then Madhvacharya philosophy, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who gave Achintya Abheda Tattva. So in Ramanuja philosophy, it is a Vishishta Advaita. There is some. So in separating the material, in separating the jivas, so there is some typical, attribute to that particular person or thing. So which when they focus on those things, it is like a qualitatively different Dvaita. So that is also one way. But principally, all the three Vaishnava philosophy considers soul, super soul, and material things separately. And other than that, Kala and Karma also. So this is. But here now Malayadvaja is able to see the soul and super soul in two different, separate. He has not merged them. So that is the right understanding. So, and the Paramatma term is sometimes mixedly used as Bhagavan also. But when we also discuss, at times we know what places we should use Paramatma, and when it is the Supreme Lord. We can specifically tell that those coming in the Gaudiya Parampara, they clearly differentiate between these things in the discussions and the further understanding. But sometimes when general populace, they mix this Paramatma and Bhagavan both. So but definitely when we seeing the Paramatma form, he is definitely worshipping the Vishnu form. He understands is a Paramatma, localized Paramatma. But localized Paramatma is not everything. Localized Paramatma is also it talks about the opulent feature of the Lord. Opulent feature of the Lord, which means Lord is there everywhere and everything belongs to him. That kind of opulence, it talks about the opulence. The personal aspect of the Lord, the rasas, the 5 different rasas that jivas share with the Lord, that component, that part is not discussed. So in these philosophies, in Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, there this rasa, we talk about the rasa, our relationship with the Lord through some taste. So, and there are 5 of them: Shantarasa, then Dasya, Sakhya, then Vatsalya and Madhurya. All these 5 rasas. So yes. So Malayadvaja is now able to see them in a different form. So Narad Muni is highlighting that it's an allegorical story. It's an allegorical story. So he is kind of teaching Prachina Barhi that this is how, in fact, one should look at the Supreme Lord. So this kind of differentiation has to be there. It's a kind of message to Prachina Barhi that Narad Muni is trying to give. So that way, so if you see, so none of the other philosophies fit good. The best one is the complete understanding of the Lord in the form of Bhagavan, in which we can actually serve the Supreme Lord. So all other are very dry, no scope for seva, no scope for service, no scope for that mellow. So that way it is all incomplete. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given achintya bheda abheda. At the same time, their Lord is there everywhere. In spite of that, he is in one place. He's there in the form of his energy everywhere, but he takes service in a personal way also. So if he's taking in a personal way, doesn't mean that he's not present everywhere. So at the same time, see, and more importantly, this Bheda Abheda can also be found in non-Vaishnava philosophy also. As per the lecture I heard from Maharaj, so it can be found in other philosophies also. But this he is present in everywhere, and also he takes service in an individual form also. That concept, that possibility is there because of his potency, inconceivable potency that Lord possesses. That is why it is very important that we say achintya bheda abheda. It is not just bheda abheda. It is achintya bheda abheda. So that external inconceivable potency of the Lord makes this philosophy makes up the philosophy, because Bheda Abheda can be found elsewhere also. Like that Maharaj is explaining, His Holiness Bhanu Maharaj. So that's important. And one more thing is, in jivas and super soul, jiva and super soul are similar in nature, and material does not have any, is inert. It cannot do things on its own. So Lord is controlling everything else, including the spiritual world, and also the material things, energy. And whereas the jiva comes under the influence of material world, under the Maya, whereas Lord doesn't come under the influence of Maya, whereas jiva comes under the influence of Maya. So this is the difference. Though they are same in nature, but still this difference is there. This is the difference. And also, of course, qualitatively and quantitatively same, and quantitatively they are totally different. So this understanding, Narad Muni is mentioning that he received this understanding. He's making Prachinabhari understand this difference, and he was also mentioning that how his wife is also serving Prachinabhari in the coming verse. And Prabhupada is mentioning a very important point. Having attained the stage of understanding, he sees no distinction between spiritual and material worlds. In perfect vision, the material world becomes the spiritual world due to its being the external energy of the Supreme Lord. And before that, whatever he does in the interest of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At the same time, in advanced stage, I'm reading again from the starting. In the advanced stage of devotional service, the devotee does not see anything separate between his own interest and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is very important. So this Prabhupada often talks about dovetailing the activities. So dovetailing the activities, which is very important. That is one of the key important feature in the today's modern world, because giving up everything and doing some altogether devotional service is practically many times not possible for most of the devotees. So in that case, so Prabhupada mentions you dovetail your activities. So like if you want to enjoy, if you want to play, make fun, enjoy, then do that in the temple. In the temples we have prasad together. We do every day, every Sunday we do party. So that kind of that interest one wants to really enjoy, that he can do that in the form of service also, by participating with everyone, serving, and thus having a good time with the devotees. So this dovetailing is very, Prabhupada often quotes, tells about dovetailing. So that's very important. And where in advanced stage, the devotional service do not see anything separate. So that means whatever one does, that activity itself is a devotional service. Then once it is dovetailed, there is no need for especially doing something else and doing devotion differently, right? So both can be clubbed, and thus the ordinary activity can become a devotional service. And thus doing so over a period of time, then what happens? That becomes the way of life. Then there is no special interest for the jiva. I want to enjoy separately. I want to do this separately, and then go to do a devotional service separately. There is no distinction. So now whatever he does, it is the devotional service, and he aligns himself with the interest of the Supreme Lord. Like for example, the preaching mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is the preaching mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That becomes his activity. He derives joy in that. The jiva derives joy in his seva. So the seva is also not done for some purpose. I want some material benefit. Some people should recognize me. The seva is also not for that reason also. So there also this distinction is reduced. So he does it. The jiva does. The devotees serve just for the service of it, just for the taste of it, just for being with the devotees, and thus they enjoy very nicely. Matchita madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam, right? And then yeah. So I mean, they discuss, they participate, they and then derive joy from that. So there is no distinction between the his work and the Lord's activity. In simple sentence also, if you see, we can see these points are pointed out. We can discuss all these points in detail also, but at the same time, in crux also, this message is given in many different languages, in many different regional languages. It might be seen, definitely. I can say that. I don't know many of those kind of shlokas or anything where it is mentioned, but I know one place where this is told. So when we read Hanuman Chalisa, there comes a line, Ram Kaj Karibe Ko Atur. So it defines the activity of Lord Hanumanji. So he is very interested, Atur. He is very, very eager. Ram Kaj Karibe Ko Atur means he wants to do Rama's work. He is very eager to do Rama's work. So like that, we also can be interested to do the service, to carry on the activities of the Krishna. And Krishna's activities are instructed to us through our acharyas, through our fellow devotees. So through that, we come to know how what we should do, and where we should participate, how we should give our service in a perfect way. I've seen in many when you come across many people who are aligned with some other institution, they clearly don't know. They have come together for a purpose, but the purpose is not clear. It is not based on scriptures. It is based on some vague thought process that keeps coming and going. But without reading scriptures, without following the purpose and the methods given in the scripture, it is not possible. So though they have grouped together, there is no clear-cut purpose. So, but here we see our goal is to serve the devotees, serve everyone. So when that is the purpose, and there are several ways to do that, as given by Srila Prabhupada. So when we follow that, we have lots of fun in our life. So this is very important, that as for we should try to reduce all our we should try to align all our activities, rather reduce, we should align all our activities in the service of the Lord, and thus see no distinction between his work and our work. In fact, then it becomes like that we are the servants, and also we are we have our identity also as a servant. There is a line that Madhvacharya quotes. I don't remember in Kannada. Dasanagu Visheshanagu. So Dasanagu Visheshanagu. It's so wonderful. Like he didn't say you become a prime minister, you became a special. He didn't say you become big, king and you become special. No, he says that you become the servant of the Lord and you become special. And you become special. So that's very wonderful that you become servant of Lord. That means, you get respected everywhere. That's why every day, when we go to temple and we pay obeisances to the Lord, and then we say, all glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. Who says in the office, all glories to our assembled staff? Nobody says. No glory, only extraction. Take work, give money, and exploit the nature, exploit the people. That is the mentality. Okay, we'll go to the next shloka. Patim paramadharmagyam vaidharvi malayadhvajam premna paryecharadhitva bhogan sa pati devata. Patim, her husband, Parama, supreme, Dharmagnam, knower of religious principles, Vaidarbhi, the daughter of Vidarbha, Malayadvajam, named Malayadvaja, Premna, with love and affection, Paryacharat, served in devotion, Hitva, giving up, Bhogan, sense enjoyment, Sa, she, Pati Devata, accepting her husband as the supreme Lord. Translation, the daughter of King Vidarbha accepted her husband all in all as supreme. She gave up all sensual enjoyment and in complete renunciation followed the principles of her husband, who was so advanced. Thus she remained engaged in the service. Purport, figuratively, King Malayadvaja is the spiritual master and his wife Vidarbhi is a disciple. The disciple accepts the spiritual master as the supreme personality of Godhead. As stated by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in Guru Ashtaka, Sakshat Dharitvena. One directly accepts the Guru, the spiritual master, as the supreme personality of Godhead. One should accept the spiritual master, not in the sense that the Mayavadi philosophers do, but in the way recommended here. Since the spiritual master is the most confidential servant of the Lord, he should be treated exactly like the supreme personality of Godhead. The spiritual master should never be neglected or disobeyed like an ordinary person. If a woman is fortunate enough to be the wife of a pure devotee, she can serve her husband without any desire for sense gratification. If she remains engaged in the service of her exalted husband, she will automatically attain the spiritual perfections of her husband. If a disciple gets a bona fide spiritual master, simply by satisfying him, he can attain a similar opportunity to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I will read also the shloka number 44. Chiravasa vratakshama veni bhuta shiroruha bhavupapatim shanta shikha shantamiva Synonyms: Chiravasa, wearing old garments. Vratakshama, lean and thin on account of austerities. Veni bhuta, entangled. Shiroruha, her hair. Babhau, she shone. Upapatim, near the husband. Shanta, peaceful. Shikha, flames. Shantam, without being agitated. Iva, like analam fire. Translation: the daughter of King Vidarbha wore old garments, and she was lean and thin because of her vows of austerity. Since she did not arrange her hair, it became entangled and twisted in locks. Although she remained always near her husband, she was silent and unagitated as the flame of an undisturbed fire. But when one begins to burn firewood, there is smoke and agitation in the beginning. Although there are so many disturbances in the beginning, once the fire is completely set, the firewood burns steadily Similarly, when both husband and wife follow the regulative principles of austerity, they remain silent and are not agitated by sex impulses. At such a time, both husband and wife are benefited spiritually. One can attain this stage of life by completely giving up a luxurious mode of life. In the verse, the word chiravasa refers to very old torn garments. The wife, especially, should remain austere, not desiring luxurious dresses and living standards. She should accept only the bare necessities of life and minimize her eating and sleeping. There should be no question of mating. Simply by engaging in the service of her exalted husband, who must be a pure devotee, the wife will never be agitated by sex impulses. The Vanaprastha stage is exactly like this. Although the wife remains with the husband, she undergoes severe austerities and penances, so that although both husband and wife live together, there is no question of sex. In this way, both husband and wife can live together perpetually. Since the wife is weaker than the husband, this weakness is expressed in this verse with the words upapatim. Upa means near to or almost equal to. Being a man, the husband is generally more advanced than his wife. Nonetheless, the wife is expected to give up all luxurious habits. She should not even dress nicely or comb her hair. Hair combing is one of the main businesses of women. In the vanaprastha stage, the wife should not take care of her hair. Thus, her hair will become tangled in knots. Consequently, the wife will no longer be attractive to the husband, and she herself will no longer be agitated by sex impulses. In this way, both husband and wife can advance in spiritual consciousness. Thus, advanced stage is called Paramhansa stage, and once it is obtained, both husband and wife can be actually liberated from bodily consciousness. If the disciple remains steadily in the service of spiritual master, he need no longer fear falling down into the clutches of Maya. Hare Krishna. So, here, Narad Muni is mentioning how figuratively Malayadvaja is the spiritual master of wife Vedavi. So it's very important for everyone to seek the spiritual master, and only through spiritual master one can actually attain Krishna. So actually, seeking to a spiritual master is not very easy, especially in the Kali Yuga. It's very difficult. So everyone is a cheater. As I mentioned, there are many so-called spiritual masters who don't even suggest their followers to chant the Lord's name, holy name. They don't ask them to chant Krishna's name, Rama's name. Then what is the point? It is said one should, if one is not telling the word, or the follower to chant Lord's name, then he is not supposed to be he cannot be a good master. He cannot be considered a spiritual master. So spiritual master means for this age, he should definitely teach one person, his disciple, to chant the holy names of the Lord. In whoever, it is said in Kevalastakam, it is mentioned that whoever asks a person, whoever asks a person to, whoever guides a person, instructs a person or inspires a person to chant the holy names of the Lord, he is to be considered his father, mother. So it is mentioned like this: Saguru, Sapita, Matacha. So he's his guru, and he is considered to be his real, well-wisher, basically. Otherwise, if all others are there, not talking about spiritual, chanting the holy name, rendering devotional service, serving the Vaishnavas and the Supreme Lord, if nobody is instructing, then they are not really well-wishers, because they cannot do any good. They may be wishers, well-wishers, but they don't know the path. They don't know how to what is good for his word. So then, what is the point? They are well-wishers, but they don't know the way. Effectively, 0 into 1 is 0. So that way, so nothing comes out. So it is not really it's not very useful to the word. So it's very important. So, and Guru, the acharyas, they go out just for giving the blessing. See, we may not be destined to receive the mercy of Acharya. If Acharya doesn't come into picture, there is nothing that has gone wrong as such, because there is no duty as such on the part of Acharya that he should go and tell about the Lord. He should go and preach. There is no duty as such. There is no, that the jiva might not be destined to come across Acharya also. Of course, pious credits help, but what we should understand is acharyas come and give this message of the Supreme Lord on their own, because of their compassion they come and give it. So, Janasya Krishnat Vimukhasya Devat Anugrahayena Janasya Krishnat Vimukhasya Devat Adharmashilasya Sudukitasya. Anugrahayena charanti nunam. Anugrahayena charanti. Because just for giving anugraha of whom? Of the Supreme Lord. Anugrahayena charanti nunam bhutani bhavyani janardanasya. That Janardan, that is, see very nicely in this verse also, it is so nicely told. We can call him Vishnu, Krishna, but it is told Janardanasya. So one who is merciful to the Jana, the populace. So that Janardan, they carry the message of that Janardan. They carry the love of Lord, Supreme Lord, and distribute it to the entire world. So all those fallen souls and those who have turned their faces away from the Supreme Lord and who are very troubled in this world because of so many other reasons, whatever reason it may be. So for them to gain this benefit, for them to get the mercy of the Supreme Lord, out of their own compassion, they take troubles. Like Srila Prabhupada went, took so much trouble to go all over the world and gave Krishna consciousness to everyone. So when they go out, so it may appear that Prabhupada has left Vrindavan and he went to other places. He did not leave Vrindavan. He carried Vrindavan instead. He carried Vrindavan and distributed Vrindavan to everyone. And thus, the love for the Krishna, he transferred from his heart to everybody else. And now also, Prabhupada does it through his books. So each purport, when we read, we can understand the intensity in which Prabhupada might have wrote each and every point. As such, the shlokas are not accessible to us. The Bhagavatam shlokas are very, very difficult to understand. And a few days back, we heard the lecture, how Prabhuji was explaining that this form of this message of Srila Prabhupada, how Prabhupada has painstakingly written, and how other acharyas have contributed so much, and they have extracted the information from scriptures and given us the essence of it. So we're talking about this. Actually Vedas, we were talking about Vedas previously, right? So it is very difficult to understand Vedas. It's huge, it's very voluminous, and we precisely don't know. We may get into some terrain of Vedas where it's not even talking about the devotional service. It might be just talking about the karma kandi activities. We may think this is everything, and some people they think Vedas itself is everything. Vedavadis, they're called Vedavadis. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, for them Vedas is everything. For them Vedas is everything. For them Vedas is everything. So Krishna says, Vedavada Rata Partha Nanyad Asti Nanyadasti Vadinaha. They say there is nothing else other than Vedas. They don't understand the essence of Vedas. They don't know whom we are supposed to know through Vedas. Vedaisha sarvam ahameva vedya. Krishna says, ahameva vedya. I am Vedya means I am to be known. Ahameva vedya. I am the one to be known. But Vedavadis, they don't even know that part. But they simply do it as a ritual. Okay. So it doesn't it doesn't create any taste in their mind. But still, they are just happy doing their part, even if they don't know. Because there is a hidden intent. They want to be considered as one of those elites who are privileged to read Vedas. They can, so they are somehow connected to Lord. They want to boast their the pious nature of theirs, in reading Vedas and things. So, but that is not the point. The point is we should know whom Vedas are glorifying. So unless we know and have understand the Lord in personal form, it is of not much use. It will take time to reach the Supreme Lord. So yes, what I was mentioning is, so it's condensed form, but Vedas are very vast, but it is Abhorusheya, and so all the acharyas like rishis, Veda Vyasa also compiled Vedas in for different forms. Vedas, Puranas are there, then Upanishads are there. The point is, it is very difficult to know what is in Vedas, and it is being sub-classified into smaller units, for a better understanding, only giving the essence. Like that, it is extracted. But then finally it comes to Vedanta Sutra. Vedanta Sutra means if there is a voluminous book, we don't know where is what, then there are some code that is written to know how to understand, how to connect to the big topic through some keywords or some sutras. So that is called Vedanta Sutra. So Vedanta Sutra itself is very voluminous, and there are some Athato Brahma Jigyasa. That is one sutra that can expand itself into big explanation. We can refer to various scriptures, and that way it can go on. So even those erudite scholars, they would refer to the sutras to know more about what is there in the Shastras, various scriptures. So for us, Vedanta Sutra is also very elusive. We cannot understand that also. These Vedanta Sutras, they are formed as such. In one of the purports, it is written that Prabhupada mentions they are the axioms. Axioms means they are the kind of anchor points. Further, this fact cannot be further divided. If you want to say there is Lord's hand in everything, what we do, what is happening in the world, right? We cannot further divide that into sub-classification. We cannot further analyze that. If we say I have done this act, if I have done some work, so I can track this back and say this goes to the point where Lord says, I am the cause of all causes. If I have done something, if the world is working, that means we can track that fact back and say and go to the point and refer to this particular verse where Lord says, I am the cause of all causes. But if this particular line, I am the cause of all causes, cannot be further divided, because we don't have access to that. So such things are called axioms, and the Vedanta Sutras are in itself, they are axioms. Prabhupada mentioned they are axioms. So the point I am trying to say is, all these erudite scholars also refer to Vedanta Sutras. But for us, so this is how the Vedas are basically studied. These are the Vedas are basically studied. But for us, there is no other access other than Srila Prabhupada's books. If we don't refer to these purports, we won't know what is in Upanishad, what is in, it may be, see, it may be Upanishad, it may be Puranas, it may be some compilation from different schools of thoughts, all may be there. Prabhupada may be referring it to it, even if it is a non-Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy also, some points Prabhupada might be explaining, but that is for our understanding. We have to refer and understand it as the way Prabhupada has mentioned it. So when we read Prabhupada's books, that is our gateway to all this knowledge. So just imagine whatever they were doing through the Vedanta Sutras, we can understand all those. All those things are accessible to us through Prabhupada's books. So that is why it is very, very important. Otherwise, without Prabhupada's books, it is very difficult to understand anything. So it is all, kala akshar bhais barabar. So that is why it's very important to read Prabhupada's books, where everything is crystal clearly Prabhupada has mentioned. So spiritual master, out of his own mercy, he approaches all the jivas and gives the love of Godhead. And the last verse talks about the tapasya, that Vaidarbhi performs. Prabhupada is mentioning how one should initially, even if you like the devotion service, not like the devotion service, whatever be it, one should take that tapasya, do that tapasya, and keep oneself available for that all the time. And over a period of time, once it is settled, then he will be able to, no agitation, material agitations will reduce, and slowly he will be able to remain steadfast in the devotion. So similarly, like Vaidarbhi, there were other devotees like one second. Sorry, I'm forgetting. Sorry, yeah. Like Devahuti was also very much. She also did a lot of austerity, even though she was, the daughter of Manu. Even in spite of that, she was doing a lot of austerity, and Kardama Muni was very much pleased, and thus he blessed her. She was very happy, and Kardama Muni blessing Devahuti was very easy, but to be like, to take up that austerity, controlling all the senses, and work for the her pure devotee, the husband, and also in other words, a spiritual master is very, very important, and one has to take that penance. So it is said tapa and yajna and dana, these three are very important, even for the greatest, even for those who achieve everything also. This is very important, it is mentioned. So that way, if you see, so tapa, austerity is very, very important. And austerity, Prabhupada explains that if one is not able to do certain things, for example, it's very cold, he's not able to get up and take bath and do his chanting. In spite of that, if one does that, and that is how Prabhupada explains austerity as. And yajna is something that one does to perform, one does to please the Supreme Lord. And some people might be doing austerity but not doing yajna. It might not be an yajna. What they are doing might be an austere work, but it might not be a yajna. So yesterday also in one class I was explaining the difference. So they were asking austerity means we are pleasing Krishna only. Then why? What is the difference? The difference is we are also go to office with so much pain and do everything, but we are that is not pleasing. That may not be pleasing Krishna unless we have dovetailed it. Unless we have given the results of that to Krishna, it might not be a it might not be a yajna. So the importance of austerity is very clearly mentioned here, and austerity actually brings purity in the heart. So that is why one should take up to doing austerity. And devotional service, Prabhupada has mentioned the austerity in those days, like how Vidarbhi did, is she gave up all the activities, all the so it's like it's a karma sannyas. So that, but for today's age, there is the definition is different. We dovetail our activities. We dovetail our activities, and thus slowly we identify our activity as the with the activity of that of the Lord's. So then, when we do that, it is for this age. What is prescribed is we develop love for the Lord by doing chanting and following the instructions of the spiritual master. There is a clear set of plan that Prabhupada has given what one should do. So every year during that time, you have certain set of activities like distributing books. You go out and offer ghee lamb during Damodar month. You request everyone to do that. We arrange programs, and other than that, we do classes. So it is fully the engagement for the person is completely defined by Srila Prabhupada. So there is nothing that one has to do outside this as a austerity in today's age, and so it is all well defined. So we don't have to worry. So there is no question of going to jungle or doing anything extraordinary. That is all not needed. So we can just follow Prabhupada's instructions and follow the regime that's set by Srila Prabhupada. So that would give us the complete that will encompass all our activities that we should basically do. So I think I will stop here. Thank you for the opportunity. Hare Krishna. Prantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you very much. Thank you very much for elaborately explaining the various Siddhanta systems and also helping us develop the vision while when we are dovetailing our work, one can cease to differentiate between one's work and God's work, and also helping us understand and remembering the importance of spiritual master. So devotees can unmute themselves, share any reflections, or if they have questions, please ask.
Hare Krishna, Sachitanaya Prabhu, Dandavata Pranam. Thank you for very nice class, Prabhuji. Just want to seek one clarification. In the purport when you are reading, I think in sloka number 42, I believe, it's mentioned that the interest of the devotee and the Lord becomes not different. When they actually able to visualize Paramatma and Atma separately and focus on Paramatma. Can you little bit elaborate on that, Prabhuji?
In the advanced stage of devotional service, the devotee does not see anything separate between his own interest and those of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Both interests become one for the one for the devotee does not act for a separate interest. Whatever he does in the interest of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is from the purport of 42, 42nd sloka, Prabhu. And so So when, like I was mentioning, Prabhu, like when we initially, when we are not connected with the devotees, when we are not connected with when we don't understand, what we are supposed to do for the Lord, right? So at that time, all we know is, see, because of uh, our constant association with material things, we have been we have been we have a we are only understanding that we should enjoy this material world. That enjoying mentality is there since many births. Because of that, our activities, we only know about our satisfaction. But when only when we come in contact with the devotees, when we read Prabhupada's books, when we come when we understand the scriptures, then we understand that our nature, our dharma is to serve the Supreme Lord. Until then, we did not know. We were only satisfying ourselves. All has to do some service. All have to do some seva. To render service is Jiva's nature. But whom we should render, we do not know, neither theoretically nor practically. But then when we came in association, when we read the books, we understood. Now we want to serve the Lord. But then how to serve the Lord? Then there are ways and means to serve the Lord. So there are several ways to serve the Lord, right? So all aspects of serving, right? So Navavida Bhakti can be rendered. So once we understand that, we do in the format that is given by the Acharya, and we follow that. Now when we do that, we develop taste for it. And then when we have developed taste for it, we don't want to spend time in something else, in our own activity. Though we want to complete certain obligations that we have, but wherever possible, we want to align everything in the interest of the Lord, right? So thus we are reducing that our interest and Lord's interest separate. We don't have a separate interest. We're reducing that gap and trying to align ourselves completely. Yes, Prabhu, this is what I was mentioning, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Prabhuji, I think we can conclude because we are also over time. Thank you again for your time. And we will conclude with Vaishnava Pranams. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.